The key to writing great characters is to look at them like a tree. If you develop them right, the entire character can grow organically from one single idea. This kind of character development is what Avatar uses to create real and compelling characters, and I call it holistic character development. So what is it, and why do I think it's so important that I want to share it with you? Well, it starts with one idea. That idea is the character's psychology. In Book 2, Episode 3, Return to Omashu, we learn the concept of Jing. In the Avatar universe, Jing is the method of how you use your energy in a fight. Positive Jing means to attack, and neutral Jing means to stand your ground. Each of these styles of Jing is tied to a respective style of bending. Aang's native style of airbending is tied to negative Jing, which is the act of running away. This idea is so intimately tied to his culture that it becomes a part of his psychology, and it's something he struggles with throughout the series. When writing a character, you could just give them a backstory and call it a day, but even if you had written the most poignant and beautiful backstory in history, it would mean nothing if it didn't inform the character's behavior. In holistic character development, you want to create a backstory that branches out into other areas of the character's writing, like their personality, flaws, and the arc they must complete over the course of the story. Aang's backstory and his culture of negative Jing informs everything else about his character, and that is what makes him feel so organic and real. His traits of peacemaking and inner tranquility stem from this idea where he was taught to value all forms of life, even if they were antagonistic. His actions stem from the same place. He's constantly trying to mitigate conflicts, and his ultimate test is to reconcile his duty to the world with his desire to respect and preserve all life. So by starting from one idea, the idea of negative Jing, the writers were able to grow other parts of Aang's character in a way that feels natural, and give him actions throughout the story that don't feel forced for the sake of plot. Instead, they feel like what Aang would do. But there are other aspects of character development that Aang's psychology informs, and one of those is the Aang Paradox. A character's complexities are the traits they have that seem to contradict each other, creating a paradox. This creates depth by raising questions about the character, instead of having everything about them come at face value. For an example of this, look no further than our own favorite earthbender, Toph. She was originally conceived as a muscular, athletic boy. Later, they decided to change her design to a small blind girl, creating a contradiction that instantly raises questions. Why does everyone fear her? And how did she get to be so powerful? Aang has many of these contradictions, but one is inherent in his concept. He is both a powerful fighter and a peacemaker. Despite being the Avatar, he doesn't want to use his extraordinary powers to fight. Instead, he evades and defends. This trait creates interest by raising the question, why? And it all leads back to the seed of Aang's psychology, where his peacemaking trait originated. Finally, when creating a character holistically, you need to work out how their psychology informs their motivations and their arc. Aang's goal is simple. He must defeat the Fire Lord and bring harmony back to the Four Nations. But his motivation, the thing that pushes him to accomplish that goal, is tied deeply to his backstory with the monks. When Aang learned he was the Avatar, he ran away from home to escape his responsibilities. Not only is this an action inspired by his psychology of negative Jing, but it also adds another layer to his character, that of his own self-perception. Aang regrets the fact that he ran away, and it is that regret that pushes him to prove himself to the world by accomplishing his major goal. His culture informed his actions, and his actions informed his motivations. Just like the branches of a tree, his development grows organically. Aang's arc involves learning to overcome his urge to run away, but it also involves embracing the peaceful teachings of his upbringing. Thus, the ideas of his backstory and psychology come full circle to the end of his arc, and vice versa. Now comes the age-old question of the chicken or the egg. Aang's arc centers around the idea of negative Jing, which is an aspect of Avatar's world building. You can use world building as your soil, so to speak, and pull cultural aspects from your people to serve as the catalyst idea that grows the rest of the character. Another key to making great characters is to tie their development to your world building, to create a seamless relationship between the character and the world surrounding them. By doing this, you create a world and story that is truly immersive. But in that case, you have to ask yourself which to do first, create the world or the character. But as soon as you get that idea, be ready to let your characters sprout and grow, because all it takes is one seed. Thanks for watching. Best of luck on your writing journeys.